I took $2,000 and I sold it for $600 million. I did something right.
I mean, we bought Powell for $42 million and we sold it for $172 million 3 years later, exactly.
I'm Grant Halley, I'm chair of the Independent Business Foundation, and it's great to have you here at the 5th Small Business Summit.
In New Zealand, we all have our sporting heroes, which is fine. But in my view, the reality is that we miss our real heroes. And who are they? They're the mums and dads, the Kiwi battlers, the people that go out there and make our economy work. It's you guys. It's the small business person. The media miss them completely. And the economy misses them. Our politicians miss them. The small businessman needs more attention. It needs more resources. It's the lifeblood of our society. That's where our money comes from.
I want to share the pain and the anguish of being a small business person and growing from that. I remember when I started, I was just the sole employee. That's me. And then I had another guy I put on. There was two of us. We had a conversation. When I left, there was like direct employees, nearly 5,000, and there was probably another 12,000 we employed through contracts and running terminals and things. I went from sole proprietor to partnership to national company in America to global to whatever. And I took $2,000 and I sold it for $600 million. I did something right. And in my book I say, you know, I was like an orchestra leader and I was trying to get my orchestra, which was global. There are a lot of case histories, there's a lot of things you can read about companies that have succeeded, but you don't read very much about companies that haven't succeeded. And those are the lessons more important in my opinion. You're very self-forgiving when you're a sole businessman. It's not so much, God, I did that wrong, I better not do that again. You just hold to your sides, you know, and say, that wasn't the way to do that, or there's a better way. You just self-correct as you go. So it's up to people in this room to create jobs, to create the wealth of the country, to improve it. And we have to be heard. We have to put the pressure on. But that's the failure. That's what isn't being addressed. That's what's being swept under the carpet. And it's not helping entrepreneurs like you, is it?
Thank you so much, Owen. You're an inspiration to all of us.
Now, the title of the talk was Adversity and Survival. And I'd love to say we're sitting where Owen is and have sold it for 600 million or something like that. Because that was the journey. It's actually been the toughest time of my life. Hopefully aiming for something that was going to be more important and more meaningful in this whole bloody journey. Christchurch opened something in me when I drove into Governor's Bay. I went for a coffee at this restaurant. I thought, God, if this place ever comes up for sale. But this is Governor's Bay, and this is where we're based down in Christchurch. That was the epicenter over there of the earthquake. Oh yeah, and did I say within 2 weeks of arriving, this whole place went up in smoke. And the only thing I could do at the time was make banana ice cream. This is 7 years ago. Littleton Market started and I was at the first one, making banana ice cream. Now there was no $600 million involved here. If we made $600, we were good. When you're stretched, you have to jump into action. And we started making one chocolate and I started selling that one chocolate then after the ice cream, you know, went down the drain. And it was the start of She Chocolat. What happened in Christchurch was devastating for us all. And I remember the moment like now because I was having a row at the time. There's a wake-up call here, and if we don't take it, we're going to miss. This isn't a practice. And had a bus. We had 25 staff. We suddenly realized we have to do more. We have to get up and do something. But we started using the chocolate bus as relief vehicle. This is bring in hot chocolate. We realized we had it all in front of us. We had to harness it for collective good. And that's where our business is now. It's actually about collective good. Inspire your love of life. And that's why it's on our logo.
Well, now we've got a presentation jointly by Sharon Hunter and Tenby Powell. You probably remember Sharon Hunter from, she started up PC Direct. Tenby's involved in Fletcher's, has been involved in the military, government, not-for-profit, he's been everywhere.
I mean, we bought Powell for $42 million and we sold it for $172 million 3 years later, exactly. Is that if we want to increase productivity, as small businesses particularly, we have to become more sophisticated. We've got to embrace technology. And part of that technology from a marketing and sales point of view, if nothing else, is social media. and you will poo-poo it at your peril. The Economist magazine has described New Zealand as an entrepreneurial powerhouse, leading the world in the creation of small to medium enterprises, leading the world with SMEs. It begs the question, why are we failing? Why are we doing so badly?
It's one of the biggest beliefs that Tenby and I have, is that creating special teams is how you create special businesses. It's also being prepared to recognise the things you're not very good at, and being able to either take on help or share the... Get your stories out there and hold on to the heart inside your business. Thank you.
This is what you've been waiting for, the policy debate. Max Whitehead has agreed to run this. Now for our panellists, we've got the Honourable Shane Jones from Labour, we've got David Clendon from the Greens, we've got Dr William Kirkley from Massey University, Julian Smith from MYOB, and finally Tenby Powell. We are missing the Minister of Small Business.
And if you actually don't have a website, it's like not having a phone number. Nearly 2/3 of us want to see the Holidays Act made simpler, PAYE made simpler. 75% of us want more support for training schemes so we can really hire and find good talent. 440,000 votes for grabs for the political party that can actually really create policies that genuinely make business life easier for the heart and soul of the New Zealand economy, which is the small business sector.
How can government stimulate the stalled New Zealand domestic market for SMEs?
Remove the barriers and remove the blockages and actually allow commerce to flow. The biggest problem that I'm hearing at the moment is just the availability of good, skilled talent at an affordable price.
What the government should be doing, I believe, by central and local government, and that is local procurement. I think it's inexcusable that the government is buying imported products.
Influencing a government is a relentless, endless task. All cabinets at the end of the day are run by 4 or 5 key individuals.
The reality, of course, is that we do need to have representation at Cabinet, and we need a Minister who is actively engaged and has the ability to support us. Simplify tax for small businesses. Similarly to Australia, where they treat small business differently to large business. Reduce ACC levies to one invoice, but local government should pay their bills on the 20th of the month. I think there is an overwhelming view that the Auckland Council particularly is not business friendly. We say, okay, let's build our existing companies up to become more sophisticated, to become better at what we do for New Zealanders, as opposed to bringing a voracious Australian competitor in. Just a thought.
But we get the impression as small business owners, people are making big trails up to Parliament all the time, but not us guys. Is it true, or are we getting the wrong perspective? You don't hear from us.
That is very much the case, yeah. The active lobby groups are people like Business New Zealand, and they have full-time paid people doing those things.
In opposition, the oxygen that keeps you going is the media. We go for low-hanging fruit. We go for the dot-coms through adversarial contact to reduce the confidence of the government in itself. But as an opposition politician, my job is to destroy the Prime Minister and his team.
Were you lobbied, and did you feel a need to look after small business?
Disrespect a politician at your peril. We're ego people. That's why we're in public life. That's why we can afford to suffer humiliations and wake up and have another go tomorrow.
The brain drain, and what's the answer to it?
There is this embedded element in the New Zealand culture that when you have finished your degree or you've finished your training, you will go on your big overseas experience. Actually raise the scale of remuneration to recognise that IP coming back into the country.
One of the biggest problems with entrepreneurs at that level, and they're very good at creating a concept, and they're absolutely hopeless at executing that concept. And never the twain shall meet, so they're better to sell it.
Question. We've got a lot of brain power up here, and it's a short opportunity. We've had this. But the next one is ultra broadband.
If we want macroeconomic benefits from things like ultra-fast broadband, we need to improve the capability of folks in business to take advantage of that. And at the moment, 14% of businesses in New Zealand use cloud computing, for example. So that's, working with applications in the cloud, which is actually incredibly low. Speak to people who have had fibre connected to their property already, they will tell you that it's really actually not fundamentally adding a lot of value, because you actually have to have applications and systems and tools that use that pipe.
Are people interested to hear about exporting and perhaps the value of the dollar? Can you put your hands up? Not a lot. 3. The apprentices don't work, there's no support, no assistance, and it's a cost.
Post-secondary education has gone wrong in New Zealand. We have ended up telling too many kids in our country that they can go to university, incur a big loan, and life will be sweet. I'm a great believer in taking more and more of our kids and giving them practical skills with practical application. The fishing industry say the captains and the pilots bringing in the vessels into our ports are all too old. Companies this week, they're all saying we're hollowing out our country and those who are good are getting too old. Where are the new people coming from? Well, they're coming from your businesses.
There should be more support for apprenticeships. We had a very successful apprenticeship system that worked very well for us, generated lots of well-skilled and respected tradespeople, and it got gutted. It got pretty much nailed through the 80s and 90s. It's really peculiar that we'll pay a young person to stay at home as an unemployed person rather than subsidise an employer to bring that person on and give them an opportunity. I also think that we've overlooked the fact that the public sector used to also train a lot of tradespeople through the railways workshops, through the Navy, through the Ministry of Works. Yeah, that put a lot of supply of tradespeople into the community and out there.
I've sat in taxis and talked to South African doctors who can't practice. I've sat and talked to engineers who are denied practicing their profession or some way that their qualifications can be recognised.
The governments get blamed for this, but in actual fact it's the professional bodies of the doctors of New Zealand, of the nurses of New Zealand, of the engineers of New Zealand, of the lawyers of New Zealand, and those bodies have a fair degree of self-regulatory power, and they have thresholds and standards presumably to maintain the employability of or the profitability of their own members, and a problem about how comfortable those professional bodies feel about allowing someone, whether they're from a European country, an Asian country, or a Pacific country, to apply their skills as an engineer, a doctor, a nurse, or a lawyer, or any other profession. And they guard those positions with a level of relentlessness which would rival a university vice-chancellor.
My company has developed a product which we were very lucky to get Ministry of Science and Innovation funding. We had to find the first 100% on that, but it's exceptionally difficult when you're
I think we've got to be careful to look to the government as being another welfare system for small business. And I fail any student who says that they're going to start their business on the back of government funding.
We've got a highly talented group up here who've given up their time for us. And what amazing amount of information we received today. Julian, thank you for some of that information regarding how slack we are with our intellectual property, the education sector, which is our future, and you've given it in context with business. So thank you. David, the Greens says they do have business people in there and they do know about it, and you made a fine contribution. Shane, you don't like compliments, but I've got to compliment you. Reality. You weren't holding back and you tell it as it is, and I think that impressed us all. Tenby, congratulations on your blog and getting us a voice out there and for fronting government for us. So thanks very much to all of you.